Hi, you guys. How are you? It's Wednesday, March 24th. I have a story to tell you. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I do the tarot a bit different than most people. I integrate the horoscope with tarot cards. You don't have to know anything about astrology or horoscopes. Just listen to the story. This method for me brings a lot more depth. Plus, I have my magic astrology dice. They give me clues on where I should focus that much more. This 11 for the 11th house is a really important dice for this reading. So this is for entertainment purposes only. There were 6 things that I wanted to look at and see how they related to one another, because this is where all the energy seems to be this week. We have the event in Atlanta, which I will call person A. That happened on March 16th. On the 18th, our president said Stub, Putin, is a killer, P-I-K, on the 18th. Then 3 days later, we had in D.C. Michael Sherwin on 60 Minutes. And the day after, we had the event in Colorado on March 22nd. I'm going to call that person B. And of course, nothing would be a complete story without Don Julio and Stub, Putin. I use nicknames because I get so much suppression or things get buffered. So I apologize for so many different words that you might not be familiar with. But here's the thing. I'm like, I know all of this relates to one another. You can just feel it. Something isn't right. Because to have this many things happen within consecutive days, within a week, I mean, that's 6 days. To have all of these things happen is no coincidence. So I wanted to know what that was all about. So I filled out a taroscope for each one of them. It's pretty complex, so I just want to show you the highlights. One highlight, when I threw the dice on each one of them, that person A, Putin's a killer. Person B and Donald all drew the 11. That's 4 out of 6 of them. Sherwin drew the 12, which is where is it? The 12th house of secrets, right next to the 11th, your friends and networks, his secrets. And the only person that drew the number 1 was Putin himself. It's all about me, because this has to do with your identity and who you are, your ego, your physical body. So let's go to this 11, because we had these 4 pick the 11th house. And so what did they have here? Well, actually, person A, all of the dice came up within the same area. They had the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune has to do, with luck and timing, but it also has to do with how you're going with the flow. Here, we'll use this one. Going with the flow and with timing. With these guys, I kind of see it as intervention, that perhaps a person A or person B was provoked, maybe online, social media, to finally had their buttons pressed and they had to go do something. This was in the 11th house for that person. This is interesting because President Biden, Putin is a statement. He now had this in his 11th house. This is your networks, your friends, your allies. He had the Hermit. This is the card of investigation. It's also military. It has to do with this real estate, your day-to-day operations, your intelligence. So he absolutely said that with an idea in mind. Mike Sherwin, 60 Minutes, his 11th house. Now he's the one that had a secret. But he was doing this in his area of friends and networks. 3 of Swords is betrayal. He wasn't doing that interview to betray anyone. He was trying to reconcile something, try to get some relief from the betrayal that the nation is watching. Maybe helping put a spin on things. He's like now a witness. He could be subpoenaed. So he had this in the 11th house, although his dice had to do with the 12th house of secrets. The Mr. B in Colorado, Boulder person B, had the 2 of swords in their area of networks, friendships, allies. It's time. He made a decision from 2 bad choices and went out. He finally had enough. Don Julio, in this area of friends and networks, had the 6 of Cups reversed. This is my card not only for the past, but this is the MAGA. Make America Great Again. Proud Boys, all them. So his dreams, his hopes, and wishes had to do with the MAGA, with how all of these are relating together. Now, Stub, Putin, had the exact same card that Biden had. Putin's the killer. Biden put this out there. Networks, friends, alliances. Putin, Washington, D.C., related to all of these events. This is him putting this out there. Surveillance, investigations, friends, networks. He's watching. That's how that all related. Friends, networks, hopes, wishes. It is interesting because when we talk about Michael Sherwin, he had the dice for secrets. This area, he didn't draw the 11th of friends and networks. He drew the area of secrets and hidden enemies. So his stunt on 60 Minutes wasn't because he was doing a friend a favor. It was because he had a secret that he had to address. The burdens that the toll this is taking, and having to manipulate something that's getting out of control. Interestingly enough, Mr. B, the person who had enough already, went out and made his decision, hoping to make something happen in Colorado, also had these 2 cards in their area of secrets and hidden enemies. Identical. Mike Sherwin and person B. There's something else that's really interesting, because Stub, he did not draw the dice here. His dice he drew was in the 1st house of himself. He had the 9 of Cups, the dream maker, the wish maker. This was all how he relates to all of these things, is that he gets to have his wish come true. From Atlanta, being provoked by Putin is a killer. Michael Sherwin out there for him. Person B and Donald. All of this is to make him one happy camper. Donald, in turn, was like, I'm the King of Swords. What I say goes. Michael Sherwin, 10 of Cups, the family. Biden, who is he when he said Putin's a killer? How this all relates. This is the attack, the insurrection, reversed, the penetration, getting more information about what happened. And then the 9 of Pentacles, comfort and security, that was person A. Person A had this, and so did person B, Atlanta and Boulder. Comfort and security. That's who they are, thinking they're providing comfort and security to their nation. So this is how they saw themselves. It's very interesting because I'm going to just take this one more step. I know this might be a little confusing, but this is really interesting. When I did the astrology cards, you can tell the astrology cards on the outside tell how each piece of real estate communicates with one another. So that's why you see these arrows going here to here, here to here, and so on, and so on, and so on. I find it interesting that these arrows are always reaching behind them. They're not going forward, they're going behind them. So they're really looking at the past, reevaluating things. And the 5th house of the sun, Biden, yeah, we're still looking at stuff. So when I plug in cards, and we'll just follow this sequence of the story that they tell, let's look at Stub. His area of secrets, he had the Lover's card and the 3 of Cups. A celebration, a conspiracy. Again, this is how all of these things relate. Person A and B, Putin's a killer, Mike Sherwin, Donald. How he relates to all of these things are the Lovers and the 3 of Cups. This is his secret. This is his hidden enemy. If anyone finds out he was involved with it, they're toast. Now, the astrology said, 12th house, take this information and go to the 8th house of shared resources. So I've got this agreement, we've got this conspiracy, and in the 8th house, I have the Queen of Wands. Queens are nations. Vlad sees himself often as the Queen of Wands because he's the nation that provides the leadership, which makes sense if he sees himself as getting his wish granted. So he has an agreement, a conspiracy, because he is having a shared experience as the Queen of Wands. Then when you go to what's crowning Washington, D.C., Vlad had the 5 of Wands, a fight. What are we seeing? Fights. Putin is a killer, and then person A and person B in those cities. This is what's crowning down on him. This is the most important thing for him. And the astrology said, go to his partnerships now about a fight. In his partnerships, we have the 5 of Pentacles reversed, the insurrection. He needs to make something happen because his partners out there that participated in the insurrection, there's a big problem here. Big problem, because his conspiracy is the enemy. Now, so the fighting with the insurrection, the astrology said, go from here with your partnerships down here to public servants. What did he have here with public servants? A plan, the 3 of Wands. I just got Michael Flynn in my mind, like with a walkie-talkie microphone, talking with his brother, talking with headquarters. Too close for comfort. He has a partnership here in the 6th house that was a military, that was basically a military move with all the preparation that went on with that. Then the astrology says, look at the public servant to the 2nd house of owning. What do they own? Well, these are Vlad's cards. So the public servants there in Washington, D.C. have fire and desire. Putin has fire and desire. And in the 2nd house, he had the Empress reversed. This, the Mother Russia card, but reversed. It is a barren Russia. She is empty. She is out of fuel. She has nothing. And then over here, in the 8th house of shared resources, this was the Queen of Wands, was in the 8th house. So he is the Queen of Wands. Remember, he's a leadership making this decision, leader of a nation making this decision. The astrology said go to the 3rd house of communications. And what does he have there? The King of Swords. This is communications. This is Donald. Because in Donald's Taroscope, this is who he said he was in the 1st house. I'm the King of Swords. Putin is saying, I have this conspiracy going on. We have two leaders sharing a problem with our communications, that if anyone found out about the conspiracy and we have a huge fight over us because of what happened, we're in big trouble if this isn't stopped. And that is how all of this relates together. I still cannot get over this 10 of Wands and the Magic card reversed, because both Michael Sherwin, his 60 Minutes interview, had this in his area of secrets and hidden enemies, as did the Mr. B person. And Mr. B came the day after Sherwin. So it was like that whole incident was to perhaps get the dialogue off of Michael Sherwin. Michael Sherwin needed to speak up on Sunday, and then boom, we have another incident, so nobody's talking about Michael Sherwin and Russia and the insurrection. We are now talking about gun control, which the Republicans have traditionally successfully killed every single time when we need a vote for reasonable gun laws. So that's how all of this relates in the Taroscope. I know that was a little complex, but I wanted to make sure I shared it with all of you. If you like this video, please click like, please subscribe, and please check your notifications. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.